What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the Sixers Break Room. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the first preseason game of the year for the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, I'm sure myself, just like you guys, are super excited that Sixers basketball is back. Really, that basketball in general is back, but especially our Philadelphia 76ers. This game, there was no James Harden, there was no Joel Embiid, there was no PJ Tucker, no Daniel House. So a lot of key guys sat out, but it gave other people a bigger opportunity, right? A larger role in this game. So let's see how the guys looked. Let's see if the things we saw in practice on last Wednesday, translated to today's game as far as what Doc Rivers and his staff were working on. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel. It's free love. It costs you nothing. A couple clicks and you're part of the community. Let's get it. In these first few clips here, we're going to be taking a look at Tyrese Maxey and how he was able to be effective in this game. So we heard all offseason that Tyrese Maxey was really working on his ability to shoot off the dribble and create for himself, and it happened very early in the game. You can see right away, little screen from Paul Reed, who got the start tonight. He has space behind the screen. On a shooter, you should always go over the top. I'm not sure why Brooklyn would go under the screen on Tyrese Maxey. I think it was just early in the game. They weren't expecting him to pull it, but he's capable of doing that. In this next clip here, one of the things that I really love is we're finally getting out in transition. Look at us pushing the ball ahead, right? The fastest way to get up the court is by passing the ball, not dribbling the ball. So I love that Tobias Harris, rather than dribbling the ball up, he sees Tyrese ahead, he hits him, and once again, for some reason, no one picks up the ball. Brooklyn Nets, a lot of missed assignments early in this game. Nobody's picking up the ball. Tyrese Maxey has space, and he's able to pull up, once again, knocking down the three. This is why it's so important that as a guard, you're able to knock down shots when guys go under the screen, because then you can really make them pay. Take a look at this clip right here. As Paul Reed is setting the screen, you're going to see Tyrese Maxey, he starts to use the screen, but he's going to see that Joe Harris jumps over the top. And when Joe Harris tries to jump over the top of the screen, that gives Tyrese Maxey the ability to reject it, get downhill, the big is sinking, and this is one of those shots he's been working on all offseason, the ability to be able to score in the mid-range. He hits this floater with ease, and that's a tough shot. In this next clip here, you're going to see Tyrese Maxey's coming off of a handoff. And you can see by the closeout here how concerned Royce O'Neal was with Tyrese Maxey hitting a three, right? Like, that's kind of the pressure you put on the defense when you're knocking down shots early in the game. You're going to see here Paul Reed does a really good job of re-screening. So you have the dribble handoff action, and then you're going to have Paul Reed turning around and re-screening. And watch what this does for Tyrese Maxey. It creates so much space. Again, when you have a shooter, especially from mid-range, I'm not sure why the big is playing drop. He really should be up hedging so that Tyrese Maxey doesn't have this shot. He really should be up hedging, making sure that Tyrese Maxey isn't able to get this shot off. And on this roll from Paul Reed, it's really Kevin Durant's responsibility to slide over in the paint. Right, so just bad help defense from the Brooklyn Nets. And you'll see here in that drop coverage, Tyrese Maxey has the space to knock down the jump shot. Next, we're going to be taking a look at Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias Harris is a guy that I've really been championing for. I feel like he's a very good player. For some reason, our fan base was very quick to want to trade him this offseason. And I feel like a lot of that had to do with the contract more than the player. But let's take a look at this first clip here. This is one of the things I love about Tobias Harris. Now, this isn't something we need him to do all the time. Ideally, Tobias Harris would be a guy who could knock down some catch and shoot threes and threes off of screens, which we're going to see him taking those kind of shots as well. But I love that he's still able to catch the ball here in the mid post. First of all, look at the attention he's drawing. For all you fans that think Tobias Harris isn't a bucket and he can't go get it, well, if he's not a bucket, you wouldn't have Kevin Durant sliding over that much. Now, I understand Kyrie Irving is a smaller defender, but again, if you're not that concerned with a player, Kevin Durant would not be this far over in help. Tobias Harris is patient with the ball. 1, 2, 3 dribbles into the paint, goes up strong. Again, let's take a look at that efficiency, right? Let's make sure we count them dribbles. 1, 2, 3, and he's able to get a shot off. Now, in this next clip here, this is a lot more of what we want to see from Tobias Harris. Again, you don't have James Harden breaking guys off the bounce here, but you are going to have Tyrese Maxey. He's spacing the floor, and let's take a look at Paul Reed. Paul Reed here is going to be setting what's called a pin down screen to get Tobias Harris open on the wing. There goes the screen right there. Ben Simmons is going under the screen. Again, I'm not sure why you would go under the screen when you know you have a guy that can shoot. With Ben Simmons' length, maybe he figures, let me go under the screen to prevent a curl, but I'm still long enough to be able to contest. But Paul Reed doing another really good job of rescreening here. We saw him rescreen earlier for Tyrese Maxey. Here he rescreens again for Tobias Harris, and Tobias Harris knocks down the tray ball. This is the first clip here where we're going to see the 76ers doing something we saw them working on at practice. Doc Rivers was calling this double drag. Now, for those of you who don't know, drag is just a trail pick and roll. So typically, you're going to have a big rim running. So typically in transition offense, you have a big that's running straight down the floor. And then that secondary big, your power forward, or if it's your center because your power forward was rim running, he will run down and then kind of set this screen for the ball handler to come off. So it's a trail pick and roll. If you ever hear drag, that's what they're talking about. Double drag, you have both bigs setting a trail pick and roll, which is what we have here. So as we pause here, you have Niang setting the first screen, and then you have Tobias Harris setting the second screen. Now, at practice, they were working on having one guy roll while the other guy pops. It seemed like at practice, they were saying there was a small and a big in those screens, the big being the traditional center, typically it was like Joel Embiid or Montrezl Harrell, and then the small was the forward. You're going to see here they kind of both pop, so I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication. But as Milton comes off of this, again, that double screen causes a lot of problems because it's two bodies that the on-ball defender has to get through, and it forces a lot of help. You can see here as we pause it, you have help defender and help defender eyes on the ball, and that's going to free up really both guys, but Tobias Harris is definitely the easier pass to make. So one of the things that this also does is look at the pressure that it puts on this defender right here, Royce O'Neal, I believe that is. He has to guard two guys. He's in a position where he's guarding 1, 2, and that's a very advantageous position. That's where you want to be in basketball. Two guys playing one. It's impossible for him to be able to stop both. You get this kick to Tobias Harris, and you'll see he kind of closes in between them. He's trying to stunt at the ball, but also be in the passing lane in case he can get a deflection. Tobias Harris gets a wide open shot. He doesn't hit that, but those are the kind of shots you want him taking. Now let's take a look at Paul Reed, a fan favorite. But here you're going to get that drag again, that trail pick and roll. Here he comes. He's coming down the floor. He's trailing the play, and he's going to set the screen and then roll to the basket. Now, Tyrese Maxey does a really great job of turning the corner here and getting into the paint. When you're playing pick and roll defense, the last thing you want to do is allow a guard to turn the corner, get in the paint. And you'll see, boom, he turns the corner right there. As he gets into the paint, what happens? Now the big has to step up, and now you're leaving Paul Reed wide open for a lob. And that's exactly what happens. Once again, you have Paul Reed in the pick and roll. Here he goes rolling to the front of the rim. Great job rolling to the front of the rim. This help defender here, he is really supposed to be sliding over and taking this away, forced to skip pass to the corner, especially on Thibault, who's not really a great shooter, but he doesn't do his job in getting there. And you'll see now Paul Reed is in great position to offensive rebound with nobody blocking him out, and he's able to get the putback. And that's one of the strengths of Paul Reed. He's a great offensive rebounder. He has such a feel for offensive rebounding. But with Paul Reed, it's not really the offense that you're clamoring for, right, or that you're super excited about. It's the defense. Take a look at this possession here. He starts on Ben Simmons. First of all, he's in a good position that even if that ball is handed off, you can see he's in position to be able to stop the ball if Kyrie gets it. Right now, boom, ball goes to Kevin Durant. Matisse Thybulle gets beat. Matisse Thybulle is beat on this play, but you have Paul Reed who's able to slide. He's able to stay in a defensive stance and slide over. The importance of him being able to get there quick enough while staying in a stance means he's in position to get his hands on this ball. If he had to just sprint over and get his hands up for the shot, well, now his hands aren't in position to get the deflection, but he's able to slide because he's athletic enough and quick enough to slide in the stance, keep his hands out, and now he's able to pick up that steal, and they're off and running. Here we go. Take a look at this play here. Paul Reed, he never takes plays off on defense. It's what you love about him. More times than not, on this handoff, when Morris pops, the big is just letting that swing happen. The big is letting that swing happen 9 times out of 10. But this is Paul Reed, so he's not going to just let you make that pass. He jumps the lane, and he gets another steal. In this clip here, you're going to have a pin down into a dribble handoff. So this pin down screen is happening. He's coming off, and then Morris is dribbling into a dribble handoff. Now watch how we defend this. We saw on the double drag action the Sixers had, we put them in a tough spot. But Isiah Joe does a great job of going over the screen. As he's going over the screen, Matisse Thybulle doesn't really have to help because he's so far away. We know that it's not a curl. They've watched enough tape. They know the action. They know this isn't a handoff. So Matisse Thybulle doesn't overreact. Take a look at Paul Reed here. We'll play the clip. Boom. Paul Reed is staying in front of the ball, and he's in a stance, right? He's not allowing this guy to just be able to drive to the paint. Take a look at Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle slides down to try to take away the roll. He doesn't have to stay long, but he's just a body to give the ball handler just to second guess himself just for a second. Isiah Joe is able to recover. Paul Reed gets back to where he needs to go, and now we're in a good spot. Again, lazy pass. A lot of bigs would have just let that pass get there. Paul Reed jumps it, and now we're off. We have another possession. Those are the kind of things that Paul Reed does. He adds possessions. Offensive rebounds, steals. They add possessions for your offense. Isiah Joe is a guy that I really hope gets a chance this year. I feel like going into last year, we really thought last year was going to be his breakout year. Then he had the injury, and he never really got back into the rotation. But this guy can absolutely shoot the ball. He was 3 for 6 last night. And take a look how he's getting the shots. In this first clip here, you're going to have a pick and roll with Shake Milton and Montrezl Harrell. So what is supposed to happen on the screen and roll, and what you'll see is you get the screen from Montrezl Harrell, and then he's going to roll to the basket. Kevin Durant is going over the top of the screen, and then the big is going to be playing traditional drop coverage, so he's trying to make sure that the ball handler doesn't get into the paint. Well, what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on Patty Mills. Patty Mills has to decide, am I going to drop with the big and not give up a layup, or am I going to stay with the shooter and not give up a 3? Now, offensively, it is your job as Isiah Joe, as that roll is happening, to widen this gap, to make him really make a decision. So you're going to see Isiah Joe lift. So again, Patty Mills has to decide, am I going with the lift man or am I dropping with the roller? And as we play this clip here, you're going to see he's kind of in no man's lane, right? He's kind of just staying in the middle. The big did a really good job of dropping back into coverage, so there's actually less space than you would think. But Patty Mills, again, putting a lot of pressure on him. Now we're going to put him into another action. You get this dribble handoff here, and not a bad contest, but it's hard to guard 2-3 actions if you're Patty Mills. It's a lot of pressure to be put in, and Isiah Joe does a hell of a job of knocking down that shot. In this clip here, nobody's stopping the ball. Look at Joe Harris. He's kind of like, yo, what's happening? He's supposed to be guarding Isiah Joe, and he's kind of like, why is no one stopping the ball? Again, like we talked about earlier in this video, 2-on-1 is what you want to be in. So now you have two guys, Shake and Isiah Joe, going at Joe Harris. Shake is going to step up and become a threat. You see how he's kind of stepping and giving a little shot fake, if you will, a little gather. Joe picks him up. You get the kick to the corner. That's wide open. Bang. And then the last guy I want to highlight is young player Julian Champagnie. And I always feel like I'm not saying his name right. Champagnie, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, but this guy, he really showed up, man. He was given an opportunity last night, and he really showed something. Take a look at this action here, right? You're going to get the pin down screen similar to the action we saw with the Brooklyn Nets earlier. You get a pin down screen from Furk right here on the wing, pin down into a dribble handoff, and he's gonna make the most of his opportunities, man. I mean, he comes off of this aggressive, again, for some reason, defense sitting behind the screen, and he knocks down the 3. And then this last clip here that I want to show this is what you call Spain pick and roll. This is Spain pick and roll, something that the Sixers did not use a lot last year, and I'm really excited that they used it this year. It's an action that the Phoenix Suns use a ton with Ayton and Devin Booker. Take a look at it. You're going to have this screen and roll at the top, right? What looks like a typical screen and roll. Bassey's going to set it. Furk is coming off of it. He rolls. The wrinkle that's thrown into it is you have a back screen on the big's defender. So right now you can see he's looking to see where Morris is going to go because his job is to screen Morris. That way, what you think is a big is I'm recovering to the big, but he's hit by this screen and it forces this defender here to then pick up the big, and it leaves him wide open for a shot. Let's take a look at it. So there you have the roll. There you have the back screen. Now 14 has to decide again, am I going to help his responsibility and not let Furk turn the corner? Am I going to drop and guard the big? They get confused here, and now, boom, you get the pop out to the top of the key, wide open 3, bang. So there you have it, the first breakdown of the season. Sixers looked really good in their first preseason game. I would have loved to see what it looked like with James Harden and Joel Embiid and PJ Tucker. The ball was flying around last night. The ball was moving last night. And I know that when Harden and Embiid come back, I don't expect it to fly around quite as much. Like, those guys are a little bit of ball stoppers. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I know people hear ball stopper and they assume it's such a negative. But when you're Joel Embiid and James Harden, like, yeah, you need to have the ball in your hands a little bit. I'm not saying the offense is going to look completely different with them out there, but it is going to look a little different. But I'm super excited that the guys who had the opportunities that they had played as well as they did. Furk is another guy. Furkan Korkmaz played really, really well last night. I didn't want to highlight him in this video because I didn't want it to be too long. It's already pretty long. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Of course, subscribe to the channel. It's free love. It costs you nothing. Just a couple of clicks to show your boy some love. And drop a comment. Tell me what you think about the video. Do you like these breakdowns? Is there a particular way you'd like me to do them in the future? Should I just break down one player? Should I break down both teams? Should I show some more of the defense? Let me know in the comments below, or just drop your favorite emoji. Let's just get that engagement going. You feel me? Also, don't forget to follow me on social media at Sixers Breakroom, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm on all of them. So follow your boy on those other social media platforms. And I'm going to see you guys on the next video. Peace.